Hi, Vanessa. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I want to get things started by hopping straight into your recent ventures. So, obviously, you recently attended Download Festival in
Mhm.
collaboration with Concept Coffee. And of course, they bring so many different varieties of rock and metal in so many funky ways to their products. And Raven Records, of course, which is just iconic here in the UK. How was it to head back into an outdoor music festival setting and create this coverage over such a wide variety of things?
Well, it was wonderful to be back on the hallowed grounds of Download. I think I hadn't been back for about 22 years, something
Oh,
like
wow.
that. I did cover the festival for Channel 4 on a couple of occasions after I'd left MTV. So wasn't quite so far back as the MTV days. But it was just lovely to be back at such an iconic showground, with such an incredible lineup and great community, and to be working with Raven Records and Concept Cafe Coffees was great as well. It was just something a little bit different for me. Normally I'm, backstage or interviewing bands. But this is kind of part of my new strategy of getting out and about and coming up with fan engagement activities. So I was able to do that with the coffee brands, the heavy metal coffee, and it was just great fun. The weather was not so great, but it gradually improved, and a good time was had by all.
Incredible. And did you notice any similarities or differences between the sort of 22 years before your previous one where you were doing that work with Channel 4? Was there anything that's changed drastically? Was it very similar?
I think it was wonderful to see that, we had the first female headliner of
Yeah,
Download with Emily Armstrong from Linkin Park.
yeah.
And, on socials, there was a female only pit, which was such fun to see.
Fantastic.
And there was, I would say there was probably a wider range of people, which I think is very healthy. Probably in the early days, back in the MTV days, it was mainly young guys in kind of battle jackets, the typical kind of standard stereotypical hard rock fan. But certainly, I noticed that there was a very wide range of people there from all different demographics and, children. And it was good to see females so represented as well.
Fantastic. And it's a shame in a sense it's taken so long because we've always been there, but as you said, just in the littler groups throughout time. What was the best thing for you over the course of that weekend? I know you've just mentioned about the rise of females being at the concerts and the female only pits. Would that have been a highlight for you? Were there little other things that really stood out for you?
I think the quality of the new bands coming through was excellent. And I've seen quite a few things on socials where I've thought, oh, that's a band to look out for the future. And I think it was a very, just generally a very harmonious and community-minded atmosphere. So I think that was probably one of the main things for me, just to see so many good new bands coming through and being given so much support by the fans, and just to see what a great community there was, and how everybody was just out there having a good time, enjoying everything that was on offer, because it's such a massive festival and there's so many things to do outside of just watching the bands. So it really is a truly great weekend out where you can fully immerse yourself in the metal culture and the metal community. So it was just great to be a very small part of that.
Absolutely. And the weather cannot bring us down, no matter how
No,
much
we
rain there
fight
is.
on. When I was
We
on the
do.
Go Skeletour, I think we had -16 in Montreal.
It's
So
insane.
yeah, faced some interesting temperatures.
Yeah. You've been up against it.
Hmm.
And that obviously it's not ending there for you. So next month you're headed to the Rock Imperium Festival, has some
Mhm.
huge names in attendance. What are your thoughts on traveling to Spain to create and document this festival as it reaches its 5-year milestone? It's a big one.
It is a big one, and I'm so thankful to Rock Imperium for having me along and giving me the chance. When I sort of started putting out feelers, wanting to do my fan engagement strategy work, they were the first people that got back to me and said, "Yeah, let's talk." So, first of all, I'm extremely grateful to them for giving me the chance to do this. I think, secondly, I'm very keen to spend some time with the Spanish fans. Unfortunately, on the Ghost Skeletour, the only concert we had in Spain was cancelled. So I didn't get to see the Spanish fans in their home country. It is a global festival. People come from all over the world. And again, a really, really strong lineup. And I think, I'm just looking forward to really putting into play all of the kind of ideas that I've pitched to the festival, the kind of things that I'm going to be doing, and just spending time with the fans. I guess just being back in the thick of it because that's where I love to be.
And what made you want to get into the fan strategy stuff? What was it? What was the moment for you where you thought, actually, I really love doing this?
I think because what I did with Gulbangers Ball and GTV on the Ghost Skeletor World Tour was so groundbreaking. I'm not going to take all the credit for it. Obviously, it was Mr. Forge's idea originally,
Yeah.
but I worked very closely with him, management, and the production team that I was blessed to work with to really develop the concept. Because when I turned up at rehearsals for the Ghost Skeletor, there was nothing decided at all. We hadn't even come up with the name. So it was all very up in the air. I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be like. I'd not been on a full tour ever. Back at kind of in the MTV days, I did go out for say 2 or 3 nights, sometimes on a tour bus. So I had a little kind of idea of what it would be like, but I think being on a world tour permanently is a whole nother level of doing things. So I just think when I interacted with the fans, because obviously Ghost are a masked band, they don't do interviews, they don't interact with the fans at all. So there's quite a big gap between them and the fandom. When I interacted with the fans, I just loved hearing their stories and seeing all their creativity. And we developed lots of little different formats to engage the fans. A lot of those were my ideas. And I just loved doing it. And then when I came off the Skeletour, I thought, I love being on tour. I want to go back on another tour. And how can I do that? So I just really wanted to come up with this idea of, in a world of digital overwhelm, I'd like to think I'm a reference point and a trusted guide. And I think that's where my strength is. And I'm good at getting people to tell stories. And that's just really what I wanted to do with the direction that I'm taking now, to actually engage a lot more with the fans and help them feel closer to the band and help them feel seen and heard. It means so much to them. They knew that TF approved all the episodes of Ghoulbangers Ball, so they knew that he saw how much they loved him. And when on the second US tour, we introduced a new feature called Papa's Random Act of Kindness. We actually used a fan's artwork for the graphic. And I just thought that was so cool to recognize the fans by honoring their creativity by using them. And I think those are the little touches that really show that an artist is in touch with their fandom. And I've heard from, a few fans, not Ghost fans, but other fans saying we feel that our favorite band is out of touch with us. And there is a gap there. And I feel that I'm a good person to fill it and bring the fans and the bands closer together.
Absolutely. And you did an incredible job, Vanessa. I know you've touched on ghosts there, and I am going to go back to them because I have my own story which does relate to you.
Oh, awesome.
Vancouver, Canada on the Skeletour, but I will come back to that. But even being, as you mentioned earlier, even with download, like a female, it's so good to have someone doing that, being a female from a more underrepresented background. I think that's incredible. And as you said, you're a trustworthy source. And I think now that people have seen you along that whole world tour across all of the legs, I think people now will see and recognize you, and it will help build that trust even more.
Well,
And I
thank
know we'll
you.
definitely be seeing more of that. Absolutely. And me myself, I loved watching the Gallbangers videos. I was on there every night, refreshing, waiting for them to pop up. They were incredible.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I was slightly hesitant because, I haven't been around for about 20 years, and I was worried whether fans would really accept me. Certainly, the younger fans may not, well, wouldn't have known who I was. Obviously, having the seal of approval of Mr. Forge was very helpful, because he obviously chose me. But I needn't have worried because from the very first appearance on Ghost socials, the older fans were saying, "Oh, it's Vanessa from MTV's Headbangers Ball. We grew up with her," and they educated the younger fans about me. So I do hope that I've been accepted by a younger audience, even though I am of a specific era, the same era as Metallica, Def Leppard, and Bon Jovi, who are all, of course, still going, like
And
me.
that's yeah. I love that though. It's the power of music, it knows no bounds, there's no age limits on anything. And the fact that you've done it for this like generational time
Yeah,
frame, I think is incredible. And well done to you for doing it. It's
thank
amazing.
you.
One thing's just moving away from music for just a tad. I really wanted to touch upon is your love for animals. So I
Hmm.
myself have been fully plant-based, cruelty-free in both food and cosmetics for 7 years now. Personally, I'll never look back. I remember the turning point for me where I felt this strong connection to the animal kingdom and wanted to help in this kind of spiritual connection for me personally. Um, what was the turning point for you in your animal advocacy journey? Did you have a turning point, or was it always kind of there and you just ran with it more at a certain time in your life?
I can remember specifically, I'd always been a huge fan of animals and an animal lover. I was brought up on a farm and we had farm cats and dogs and horses, and I've always loved animals. They've played a very important part in my life. At the age of 20, I saw a drama about a journalist who was investigating cruelty in a chicken farm, and she was murdered for exposing this cruelty, and it just hit home so hard. And from the moment I watched that program, I have been vegetarian. I don't really eat much fish at all, to be fair, because I'm not that keen on it, but I have been vegetarian since the age of 20. Right now, I am transitioning to vegan. So I'm starting to cut out milk and dairy products. And I think so much of it is about education. And I think one of the things that I've got a lot out of social media is being told the truth about animal cruelty and what goes on behind closed doors. And, I cannot walk down the meat aisle in a supermarket. I just can't. Not only because I can't bear to see the products, but I actually, it might sound strange, but I actually feel the pain coming off them.
Yeah,
And I
I'm
just
the
won't go
same.
near. Yeah, so I just won't go near it. So my husband's vegetarian as well, and we have our cats who we love dearly, who are our children.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to use my platform to be an animal advocate and be a voice for animals and to help educate people, because so much of it is glossed over, done behind closed doors. And now finally, through the transparency of social media and some incredible people who are exceptionally brave, we're finding out the truth. And that needs to be told.
Exactly. And it's an incredible thing to use your platform for. I know it's really hard to look at. I myself find the same. And a lot of the time, I don't want to be complacent to it. In your Instagram stories, obviously, so much of it is really hard hitting, but like that, it's what's going on. And we need to know because it's when we know that we can help. And as you said, educate others and use our platforms for good. And what would you say
Exactly.
to
I think,
people?
sorry, I was just going to
Oh,
say,
it's okay. Yeah.
there's some things that I cannot see for my own mental health.
Yeah.
And I don't regard that as a weakness, but I think that the people that do the work on the front lines with animals, I so commend their mental strength. My husband was in Ukraine for a year on the front lines, rescuing abandoned pets and injured pets and instigating a feeding program for animals in the war. And the things that he saw, I could not have seen them. They would have destroyed my mind. But I commend him for his mental strength because he was able to carry out his work, even seeing, the most horrific things imaginable. I think he once saw a whole field of cows that had walked on landmines and were all blown to pieces. But he's come back from that, and he does struggle a bit with PTSD, what he saw there. But I'm so uh, grateful and in total awe of people that have the mental strength to witness these things and to share them, because not everybody can do that.
Yeah. I feel exactly the same. It's really hard, and he's a true hero. So well done to him
Mm,
for doing that. And as you said, thank goodness for people like him that can do that and have that mental capacity to do that.
yeah.
What would you say to people that, I guess, a bit like what your husband did going out there to help, but maybe on a smaller scale, for people that want to help or want to do more, but maybe don't know where to start?
I think volunteering is a great thing. You can volunteer to walk dogs at your local dog shelter. You can volunteer at the vets to help out. You can volunteer for charities. You can share things on social media. You can do events where you can raise money for your favorite charities. I mean, there is a lot all of us can do, but the greatest thing we can do is not exploit animals and eat them, basically.
Yeah.
So all of us have a choice that's relatively easy to undertake. And, every day I will do some kind of campaigning for animals, whether it's signing petitions, um, writing to my MP about banning fur and things like that. Every day I will do something to help animals. And I think we're all capable of doing that. And there's so many good campaigns out there that will tell you who to write to, even, give you template emails where you just press a button. It's people power. The more that people stand up for animals, the less suffering and cruelty there is going to be. And I do believe that just humankind will have to move towards a plant-based society anyway, because of all the climate issues and ecological issues that are caused by, farming so much land for beef and so on, and it's just so damaging to the environment on so many levels. So it's good to see that some schools are going plant-based now, because I think if you can educate the younger generation, that's going to have a massive positive impact in the future. But yeah, we can all do something just by avoiding exploiting animals. And I heard something on social media yesterday, actually. When you eat an animal, you've taken its life, or its life was taken to give you a meal. You will forget about that meal in 10 minutes. That hits home. And how anybody can want to eat animals when they've seen the industrial level of farming in this country and around the world. Um, I don't know how you can't feel any empathy towards that and not want to be, creating that demand. So we all have a choice.
Yeah. Thank you for talking about that, Vanessa. I know it's hard and very emotional, and powerful words there, and words that I hope when people watch this that they'll listen to and go forward with. And as you said, even if they just send a petition, start small and work your way up. Every voice helps for those that don't
It
have
does.
them.
And there's so many wonderful alternatives now that where
Yeah,
you can eat something that tastes like chicken, if you like the taste of chicken, but no
yeah,
chicken has suffered.
yeah.
So, some of the beef vegan products are so realistic. I don't
So
actually
realistic.
like
Yeah,
eating them because they look too much like beef, if you see what I
yeah.
mean.
Yeah, and what they're doing
So
now with the
yeah,
beetroot in there as well, and sometimes it's a bit,
yeah.
oh my goodness, what is this what I'm eating? I have to look, especially if I'm out, I have to look for the little flag in the top of it just to make sure or question them.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah,
so much healthier as well. It
yeah,
really is. I believe that plant-based products are so much healthier for us.
absolutely. Moving on to something a bit lighter now. Again, thank you so much for talking about that. I know that was quite heavy, but very important.
Very
Um,
important.
a massive part of your work over 2025 and 2026 was, of course, the Ghost Skeletour. You touched upon it earlier. As you mentioned, you were the fan engagement reporter and you brought so much love and joy to fans in every destination. I myself was at London, and then when I found out that they wouldn't be touring anymore, I did fly to Vancouver on the last
Yay.
leg to see them. I wear my fandom on my sleeve, as you can see. I've got Papa V there.
Amazing.
And one of the things that really stood out to me as a fan in that situation was sitting there and I heard everyone cheering. I thought, what is it they're cheering at? And then I seen you just walk across and it was like, oh my God, it's Vanessa. And the room just lifted and there was this joy and this energy and everyone was so excited and holding out their hands for high fives and people were so happy to see you because you became part of that experience. When people were at the rituals, you became of much a part of it as Papa was on stage. And I think a lot of the time before a concert, when people are waiting, anticipating it, it's exciting, but it can get a bit flat sometimes if you're there for hours. But when you know that you may get spoken to, you may get a ticket upgrade, it makes the whole experience that much more warm. I think it's very warming. Um, what was one of the dates that stood out for you on any of the legs? Was there anything or anyone that really stood out to you?
Can I just add on to something what you said before I answer? Well, first of all, thank you so much for such wonderful comments and feedback. They're so appreciated.
Of course.
And I it was, I guess, I almost started to feel a little bit like an opening act because it was quite subdued in the arena early on in the evening. And then I went out and I was revving and gassing the crowd up. And sometimes I did live streams from the barricade and I also did those through the house mic as well. So it was such great fun to do it. And I fed off the energy of the fans because, as I said, they were so welcoming, they were so joyful, they were so excited. But if you think about it, and TF said this to me, he said, Vanessa, you are the only actual real person in the whole of the Ghost cast of characters because the band and all of the characters in the lore are fictitious characters. So I was in a very honored position to be bridging the gap between the ghost universe and the real world. And it was an interesting position to be in because when I was on the tour, I had to stay in the ghost universe. That was my role where I was. And there were certain things that I couldn't talk about or certain boundaries that I couldn't cross because I was part of that universe. Um, but to answer your question, I think in terms of energy, that the Mexican fans were absolutely incredible. I mean, I have never heard such a roar, and the whole stadium was kind of shaking because they were dancing and stamping their feet. It was really quite something. Um, I did 70 shows in total, so I don't, I have to think across 70 shows to answer your question. Um, I think one of the standout stories was a lady whose son had passed away prior to the ritual. They were intending to come together, but he passed away before he could come. And she brought his ashes in a little vial around her neck. And she told me her story of their shared love of ghost, how it kept her close to her son, what happened to him, what it meant to her to be there with his ashes. And, I was honestly struggling not to cry. It was so emotional. And I just was just so in awe of her bravery and her courage to come. I think she came on her own just with the vial of ashes. And to do that for her son, I thought was wonderful. But other than that, I every show I was just overawed by the creativity of the fans, the beautiful outfits they created, their love of the band, how they expressed their love of the band. It was just such a wonderful, wholesome atmosphere, and there were multi-generational families there, from like grandkids to mum and dad to grandparents, all there enjoying it. And it was just such an honor to be part of it. I can't tell you. I literally enjoyed every second, and I miss it, and I miss the fans, and I miss the band so much. But by the same token, I'm just very, very grateful that I was given that incredible 10 months on the road with one of the top bands in the world, and to be part of such an enormous, exciting thing that enriches people's lives so much.
Really does. And that was such a moving story that you said, and I'm sure her son was definitely with her on that night.
Oh,
And it's
100%.
it's amazing that people open up so much when there's this community between people, and it's fantastic. And it just shows, if we all have this common interest and if we're all together, there can be such a positive environment around us. And I love that. And I could really feel that from all of, well, just being in the Ghost fandom in general, everyone looking out for each other, the bracelets, the
Yeah.
stickers,
Yeah, because
everything.
there were
And
no phones there as well, you see,
it's
because
fantastic.
normally if
Yeah.
you don't want to engage with somebody, you will sit and you'll tap away on your phone. I mean, I'm guilty of that
Yeah.
myself sometimes. But because there were no
Yeah.
phones there, it was such a social occasion. There were all people sitting in groups talking and, exchanging the trinkets and telling stories. And there was so much support for everybody. There were some people there who were probably struggling a little bit vulnerable. Um, they were looked after by the rest of the fans, and they were incredibly brave as well. To lots of people came on their own. I think it's brave to go to a concert on my own. It's probably not something I would particularly want to do, although I have done in the past. But it was just such a loving and joyful atmosphere every night without fail.
And I feel like one of the things about the rituals that you touched on there was that you don't really, what you were saying about people going alone. I don't think people probably didn't feel as alone. Even seeing you there, people probably thought, oh, a familiar face. And I think that's the amazing thing about the fan interactions, that they have that familiar face there and it helps people grow in confidence. And I know you touched on the
I think,
Mexican
yeah.
dates there.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you're right. A lot of fans did say to me that because I was there, they felt it was a safe space,
yeah.
and they felt it was okay to come on their own. And yeah, they just felt that because I was there, it just slightly shifted the atmosphere a little bit, maybe, and made it more I don't know, welcoming maybe. But definitely I did get a lot of that feedback from the fans, and it really did mean the world to me, that they felt that about my kind of presence there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on the Mexican dates, and of course, recently we've had the announcement of the second movie documenting the Skeletor from the Mexican dates. How excited are you about this upcoming release? And any favorite moments that you're looking forward to reliving? Any particular songs that you can't wait to hear again?
I'm so excited about the movie. I think it's going to be absolutely stunning. And for those of us who are fortunate enough to be there, we can relive an incredible night. But I think also we'll get to the chance to see a lot more detail because there was so much going on. There was so much detail that sometimes it was quite hard to take it in. And for those that weren't there, it's the next best possible thing in order to experience the Skeletour because it really was a stadium show in an arena. It was a massive production. And I can't stress that. We had 120 people on the road, 165 local crew. We had 9 tour buses and 23 massive trucks. And it really
Incredible.
was like a moving city. So yes, I'm really looking forward to the film. I love that it's done in film, not digital video. I've got high hopes that it's going to have a kind of air of nostalgia about it as well, because I know that they were influenced by some of the famous live concerts from back in the 80s and 90s by bands like Kiss. Um, and I think just when I hear the opening strains of Peacefield, I will just be transported back to the side of the stage where I watched every night, and just be totally in the moment and so happy, so content, so peaceful. Um, I'm very much excited to see it, and I think it's going to be absolutely peak.
Really will be. There's going to be a lot of euphoria in the cinema screens. So many people are going to be just back in the moment. Cannot wait. And to wrap things up, many fans of Ghost obviously have a favourite Papa. Would you say that yours would be Papa V if you had to pick?
It's so hard. They're all so adorable in their own way. I think it would have to be Papa Five Perpetua because he was my papa basically.
Yeah,
Um, and I was on the road with him. And I had the privilege of seeing him every night. And his character came out more and more as the tour went on. And he often said such funny things that I was just laughing out loud. He was so cheeky and fun. But then when there were serious things, he also had the words. For instance, Ozzy Osbourne passed away the night that Ghost sold out Madison Square Garden in New York. And Papa, I mean, I wouldn't have known what to say. It was almost too massive a thing to even try and put words to. But Papa said, um, for being the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy sure spread a lot of light. And I thought, wow, what a wonderful thing, and what a concise way to describe it all. But also, Papa Five also sang "Happy Birthday" to me in San Diego from the stage, um, which was so wonderful. Unfortunately, I was backstage at the time. I didn't know that he was going to do it. And then I heard him singing to me, and all the fans joined in. So I absolutely went rushing through the backstage, came flying out at the side of the stage, and it had finished. But
Oh no,
somebody got a clip of it for me from the big screens on the iMac. So I have got a little clip
fantastic.
of it and I could hear it. But it's just so kind of Papa to sing happy birthday to me. I just like, I'm the luckiest girl in the world.
Yeah, what an incredible moment that must have been. That's amazing.
I just wasn't expecting it at all.
Yeah,
I honestly didn't think that he would do anything, but he did, and it was just absolutely adorable.
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for taking the time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it. And I just really appreciate everything you do for fans of rock, metal, music in general, and across all generations, as you touched upon earlier. And I really hope you have a fantastic time at the festival next month and on all of your ventures going forward.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, Caitlin, and you've come up with some really great questions, and you're a very, very skilled interviewer.
Thank
And
you.
I've just found it really lovely talking to you. And your support of Ghost is wonderful. And I'm interested to know how you found any differences between when you saw them in London and where you saw them in Vancouver. Did you feel that it had grown further since London?
Massively. So London was my first ritual. And I just remember
Probably
when I
all a
was
bit of a
there.
blur.
Yeah, it really was. I was so caught up in the moment. And I mean, I'm trying to grow a mullet, so I kind of mentally want to live in the 80s because I sadly wasn't there. And the no phones thing I thought was fantastic. So I thought I'm never gonna I might, but I'm never gonna get this soon. I'm never gonna get to be with all these people, some people my age, some people younger that don't have their phones out. And that was the first thing I noticed that was incredible because we were talking to each other, the people on the rows behind, the people on the rows in front. And that part of it didn't change, even though in the second ritual, I was obviously halfway across the world, that community was still there. And I thought that that was just so fulfilling and amazing. And you touched upon it earlier again, but Papa's developments, the first London ritual that I went to, I think it was the third or fourth um,
Yeah.
ritual of the whole tour. So he was still very fresh, still quite shy, was talking a lot. But I think Vancouver was on Valentine's Day and he just went for it. We had everything going on and it was just wild. And I think whilst there was a lot of differences, so much of it at the core was just a message about love and hope. And I really loved that. And I loved that that stayed the same and consistent from pretty much at the beginning right until the end. And as you said, I would love to go back, and I'm sad I couldn't make more. But I'm just, as you said earlier, for the opportunities you had, I'm just so thankful I had the opportunity to witness it.
It was so spectacular.
Yeah,
It
it
was
really,
so
really was.
awesome. And it will go down in history, I'm quite sure, as one of the greatest shows of the modern era.
Yeah,
And I'm really excited to see the film, and I hope that it captures the true essence of what we were all lucky enough to witness when we were out on the Skeletour, because it just was incredible. And it just, I'm sure you'll agree, it just gave such a feeling of joy, and peace, and happiness and acceptance, and to walk away from entertainment of 2 hours that gives you such a massive boost to your spirits. It's incredible, and I think the band were absolutely phenomenal as well, like
yeah,
totally world class
yeah.
musicians, and the whole show was just, as we know, absolutely out of this world. So yes, it was just, we've both been very fortunate to be a small part of it, and to say, and to be able to say, we were there.